when what you are doing is also tied to like who you are as a person, it just is so limiting.
I felt like I was presented as gay best friend. I am many more pages in a book than that page.
There is a lot of pressure to be like the most, girly and feminine, and there's that stereotype that trans women should be like the dolls.
Today, we have sitting down with us 3 stunning queer creators. Tyler Oakley, who joined YouTube in 2007 and won the hearts of many with his fun and educational videos. GIGI Gorgeous, she joined in 2008 and served as a trans role model for many viewers. And finally, we have Charlie McDonnell, also known as Charlie Is So Cool Like. She's a British filmmaker, YouTuber, and streamer. We sat down today with OG queer YouTubers to respond to your assumptions. Queer YouTubers are pushed to share much more of their personal lives than straight creators.
I do think that queer YouTubers do feel the need to overshare because there is so much information on the internet.
I think it was an assumption that people had that I would sort of talk about specific like parts of my personal life after coming out. Like before I came out as trans, I came out as bi. And I remember just like suddenly a lot of questions about my sex life popping up that never came up before I had come out, and me just being like, oh, yeah, I don't want to talk about that because I never did, and can we please move on? It feels easier to me to sort of set clearer boundaries and to have a lot of people who are in my online space who know what those boundaries are and help me to enforce them.
It's like when you do overshare, it's kind of like a little gift.
It's just something that I do because I want to.
Yeah.
You know? It doesn't always feel good that people expect that, oh, you're trans, so you are going to want to talk about whether or not you've had the surgery,
Girl,
it's like,
bye.
No, I will talk about that if I want to.
Exactly.
But like, I'm here playing Zelda,
Yeah, like I'm good.
This is not the this is not the content.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like the number one question I would ever get is like, are you a top or a bottom? It's like,
Same.
Yeah, but like well, maybe they do, but it feels like straight creators are definitely not asked that at the rate that queer people are. Just like questions about their sex lives or their bodies or what their bodies might be going through or what their identities might be doing or how they might identify. Like it felt like always the number one question. It's a little like an eye roll at this point.
A lot of people were wondering how y'all feel about the subject of queer baiting and if it affects at all how you present yourself to your audience.
It does feel like a reactionary thing where oftentimes I'm like, this person is saying they're straight, but queer baiting. But also, I do not know that person. I do not know what's going on with them. I don't know if this is an opportunity for them to do some exploring for themselves.
Right? Yeah.
So it doesn't, it's not something I trouble myself with that much personally.
I think at the end of the day, like gender is a construct and it's just all like silly to be like, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that. It's like, so what if Harry Styles wants to wear a skirt? So what if people are on TikTok being like, like just because they're hot and they share with their gay friends? Like, I don't really see an issue.
I assume they're all very introverted in person.
I know I can speak for myself. I am absolutely not.
I was going to say, I can speak for you. You're not.
I'm not. But the gag is, though, you meet so many YouTubers and they have such an extroverted personality online. And then the second you meet them in person, it's like, whoa, like all the personality is sucked out. And I think that is all of us to a certain extent.
Not you.
Not for me. No, not for me.
I feel like there's always that distinction. And I think like that distinction when I first started was like enormous. Like I was an incredibly shy kid and I wanted to like, I don't know, play my persona like well in a way that people would be like, this is the most interesting version of me I can present. I think.
very much relate to that. Like what you sit down and film for 30 minutes and then cut down to 3 minutes is like becomes a highlight reel of your best performances of the sentences you want to say. And so it might come across like you're a lot more bubbly. But in person, like I am complex. Like I feel like sometimes I'm loud and sometimes I'm not.
Do y'all ever feel like you're pushed to behave more as like a caricature of like how your audience might perceive a queer person to be? Like the audience wants to see more queerness, so I'm leaning into it.
I definitely personally relate with that a lot. I think I'm very hyper feminine in the way that I exude in life, you know, the hair, the makeup, the outfits, everything, but that's not my day-to-day life. I like the aesthetic, but I think that the caricature, I guess, that people see of me is that I always need to be dolled up. I always need to have my hair done. I always need to have makeup on, always a nice outfit, when half the time I'm in like workout clothes. I just feel like there is a lot of pressure to be like the most, you know, girly and feminine. And there's that stereotype that trans women should be like the dolls. You know what I'm trying to say?
For me, the most important thing is to like just be unapologetically myself. Not that I don't still feel like pressure to present in a, like, you know, in a particular way, because it's like I still like want to be perceived as a woman, right? As what I am. And not worry about like people perceiving me as like less of a woman just because I like decide that I want to do like a super loud burp on my stream or whatever. Sometimes it's also just fun to play against people's expectations of what they expect you to be as well. That can just be like a good time.
I feel like during the height of YouTube stuff, for me, I felt like I was presented or even like pitched as gay best friend.
Yeah.
And which like there are many worse things you can be presented as, but it felt like I had to step into that role or be this like safe, PG, silly sidekick gay best friend character, if that makes sense, who loves pop culture and will read you to filth and your outfit does not slay or whatever. I don't know. Like, but that there are moments where I feel those elements, but like I am many more pages in a book than that page. When non-queer people are watching queer people, it can be disorienting when you are something other than what they expect a queer person to be. And so sometimes it's just easier to slide yourself into the role that is in a way safer to be perceived as.
Yep,
if that makes sense.
Expected of you.
When you're performing as what is expected, it kind of is more appreciated. It does not make them uncomfortable. So like even without thinking about it, you might slide into that behavior.
They have a tendency to overwork themselves.
A lot of the time, LGBTQIA plus people, we have to force ourselves in rooms. So we, in a sense, might feel like we need to work harder to get ourselves in the door so people see us. And I don't know if that necessarily is the reason why I am like a workaholic, always need to have something going on, but I know that that's a part of it.
I just don't think I'm a workaholic. I guess this assumption maybe just doesn't apply to me personally. But I do. I spend a lot of time stressing about not working. I do that, feeling like I should be doing more. But I also really, really value like putting in the amount of time I need to do a thing, and then spending time for myself.
I assume that the amount of fan fictions and shipping must have been exhausting.
Is this a Twitch question?
No, this is OG YouTube for sure.
Shipping is when you put two people together. You want them in a relationship. And what's fanfic?
Should we go back?
Should I be on this panel?
Should we go back to
I don't know where I am. I don't know where I am.
You know what? I mean, I feel like if you don't know about people writing fan fiction where they're shipping you, then you're in a good place. You don't need to learn.
Okay.
Yeah, don't go looking for it.
I'm not looking for it, but I want to be
Yeah.
educated. So fan fiction is like Charlie and Tyler got together.
It probably exists. If we were to search for it, it might
But is
exist.
that not shipping you guys?
Yeah.
That is shipping you guys. I mean, you can write fan fiction about like anything.
Okay, just so everybody knows that's watching right now, he is shaking his head laughing at me. You're like, girl.
You know what? It can be as innocent and kind as somebody who makes like fan art of you. There's a period of YouTube culture where there was a lot of shipping YouTubers with each other and speculating on relationships and who's dating who secretly behind the scenes and trying to figure out based on the edit or how they act at VidCon or pictures or anything like that. And I think it's all fun and games until it starts affecting how those people who are very real people might interact with each other because they don't want to be scrutinized for the sake of just how the fandom is acting toward them with their interpersonal relationships.
It was a lot of just like people assuming that I was gay, right? That was a big part of it. It was always me and my male friends all the time. It fitted into that category of like this is like a type of fanship that I'm not really interested in encouraging, and I don't feel like I actually really ever felt like I needed to make an effort to like placate those people. It's not necessarily an issue, I think, on the case of like the individual. It's more a case of just like what can happen within like a creator viewer relationship of starting to like not imagine the person you're watching complexly and like see them as a real person and see them as like a character that you're following. That feels like more of the issue for me. Honestly, if that's what you want to write, I'd rather people be like creative, but I'm also not going to not think it's weird. But I also think most of the people who did that now know that it was weird.
It's weird.
Have since apologized for it.
It's giving like tabloids, right? Like celebs get that all the time. It's like, oh, who's dating who? You have a photo with them. It's like if you collab with somebody on YouTube back in the day, especially the OG era, it's like, are they together? Are they dating? Have they hooked up? I actually remember one time I was fan-fictioned.
Tell us about it.
With Trisha Paytas.
Oh.
Because her and I did a bunch of videos and we were doing like how to be a cute girlfriend. And there was definitely like
speculation.
There was speculation, yeah. Whereas it was all not true. We were just girls being girls.
Does the internet feel more hateful now than it did in the Wild West of the early 2000s?
I don't know. It's always been hateful, and it continues to be hateful. But I think as a Twitch streamer now, I feel like it's like a safer place for me. Like I'm not subjected to the same amount of like random anonymous people calling me certain slurs because I have a lot of ability to protect myself from that. Like there's like moderation and there's like people who can keep your chat safe for you and the people that are also in the chat. So I feel like websites have gotten better at empowering creators to create those safe spaces.
And it is very nice on Twitch when a bigot like does pop up and says a transphobic slur or something, and just to call them out and just get rid of them immediately and like make an example of them in that moment as well. Like that's something that feels very empowering that it just like simply does not work that way.
There is more hate, but I also feel like for the LGBTQIA plus community, there is so much more love because there's so many more stories. And I feel like, you know, like it was so rare back then to see like, oh, I am transgender. This is my coming out. This is like, you know, telling my family I'm transgender. Now it's like you look all day, every day, and it's just coming out after coming out. And even on top of that, not even coming out, you just are trans and this is your life, which I think is the most beautiful thing. Not to say that there's not less hate, but I think that there's a lot more acceptance and love.
And culture has absolutely shifted in so many ways. Like people now know trans people. Whereas before, that might have been this like obscure Fox News talking point that they didn't really have a personal connection to. And it's like, oh, now you can relate these things that are on the ballot to somebody that you have a personal connection to. And it feels a lot more, I don't know, like it's closer to home, even if you're not queer. And because of that, you might want to protect those people, or you might see a queer creator and you might want to stick up for them or support them.
How do y'all deal with hate online? Do y'all ever like read the comments, or is it just like, do you set boundaries for yourselves? How do you navigate that?
I wish I could not read them, but sometimes I want to, like, I'm so focused on like, how do I make this online space, like, you know, my home that I'm cleaning up and kicking out the people I don't like, that I do still feel a responsibility to the community at large. I think it's probably why I'm still mostly focused on Twitch right now, because it is simply just less prevalent, and it's just it feels like more of a once in a blue moon thing where I'm going to have to remove someone for calling me a man. I also don't really want to live in a bubble where I pretend that everybody loves me, you know?
Now,
That's not good
curiosity
either.
also did kill the cat.
Yes.
You know what? It's like I have
Very
read
good point.
everything that anybody could ever say about me at this point. Like any type of mean comment that I feel pretty desensitized to it. I connect with you about that. Like my priority is making the community a safe space for everyone, especially because I am usually fine receiving that type of like attack, but I wouldn't want somebody in my community to see that happen and feel like it's no longer a safe space for them.
Yeah, I used to, honestly, back in the day, I used to be like a blocking warrior. But now, unless it's really mean and unless it really triggers me, I'm kind of like a combative warrior.
Yeah.
I kind of like responding.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's just giving, you're an idiot. And it's
See?
kind of like LOL to me. That's my way around it. But I will block a bitch if they come for
See,
anybody
I
that I
mute.
love or mute.
Muting
yeah.
is so delicious because it's like they get to scream into the void. They don't
Yeah.
even know that they're not being read. It's like,
Exactly.
oh, it's great. Because like at this point, some people take pride in getting blocked.
Yeah, no, it's
Yes.
giving why are you so obsessed with me, Mariah Carey.
It's bizarre.
Yes.
Like they'll make it their Twitter bio, like blocked by so. And it's like,
yeah.
You're bragging that you are annoying
You're
to
a
multiple
hater?
people?
You're also a fucking loser, dude.
Yeah, I don't
I mean, I'd love to be
really-
blocked by some people, but I know.
Sure. it just, people that are haters, I just find it corny.
Since there are so many new queer creators on the platform, there's less pressure on y'all to be the only spokesperson for the community.
I always hated being the educator.
Yeah.
You know, like I only speak to what I know. I'm not like a politician. I'm not like all up in that gig. I'm like, I speak to who I date, what I like. A lot of times I feel like with us, it's like we become the educators in people's lives. Like, what does this matter? What should I say on this? What are my beliefs on this? It's like, I can't speak for you. I'm only speaking towards myself.
I think the more voices that can speak for themselves, the better. And when it is limited to who is handed the microphone, it can feel like you have to speak for an entire group that maybe you're lumped into with, but you don't necessarily have the lived experience to speak for. And so being able to amplify those other voices that are within the community that have been either given the microphone or have found a microphone for themselves has been wonderful. At the beginning of my YouTube career, it was a lot of like, oh, you're on the LGBT panel. And like a lot of questions about the LGBT stuff. And like, that's fine. Like, it's like something that I live and something that I'm happy to talk about and share and connect with. But there are many parts of each of us. And there are now tons more LGBTQ plus creators that can speak for themselves, which is nice.
Do y'all feel the pressure of not only having to be the first ever queer person a lot of people watch online, but also being a role model for many queer people watching? Do you feel the pressure of like not wanting to let people down?
Well, I definitely don't want to let anybody down.
I love letting people down.
But I also like recognize my own humanness and know that I did not log into YouTube for the very first time with AP level understanding of all queer identities and every topic ever. Like I have absolutely grown since 2007. Growing in front of strangers on the internet is challenging and intimidating, and sometimes you want to be like defensive because you will mess up. But I feel like I have appreciation for the experience that I get to grow in front of them because I know that I can become a better person. And then also any mistakes that I might make, I can maybe show an example of how other people that might think that way can grow too.
The only thing I take upon myself is to like make sure I'm like supporting the like specifically really for me it's like supporting the trans people who are in my community who are like sharing like their own milestones of their journeys. And like, I wasn't expecting coming out like as trans, like as like a 33-year-old, for people to be like, wow, I saw Charlie is so cool, like now a woman. So finally, I feel like I can come out. I was like, I feel like I missed that boat. I was very surprised to see that some people were actually seeing me and using that as an opportunity to think, maybe there's something that's unlocked within me now that I've seen like Charlie do it.
I would imagine a lot of people.
I just didn't expect it, because I was just like, clearly that's something you're supposed to do when you're like 16, and then you touch the people when they're younger. So I just didn't think that was going to happen. That's where I feel a responsibility. But for the most part, I just simply do not give a fuck about what people think anymore. So when people like have assumptions about who I am, generally, this is the whole show, generally, I'm just like, I'm just going to be me. And if you don't like it, then you can fuck off, and that's fine. As someone who has been a people pleaser my entire life, now I know that there are always going to be people who are going to simply just hate me for who I am. And I can't do anything about that. Like, and there's no point in me doing it. I just have to be myself. So I feel like whenever that sort of thing comes up, I find it much easier now to just be like, that's not for me. I don't need to worry about that. I'm just going to do my own thing.
Do y'all have any assumptions about each other?
Love.
Can I tell you about an assumption you used to have of me?
No.
Can I put you on blast right now?
Get him.
This is not a roast.
Yes,
No.
it is.
Can I tell you about the first VidCon where I overheard you say, "Oh yeah, Charlie's gay"?
No.
Yes.
Did I?
Yeah.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Well, I assumed everybody on YouTube was gay.
Yes.
And was I wrong?
Do I like men? Yes. Am I gay? Yes. Are those two things kind of connected anymore? No.
I hope I didn't make you uncomfortable.
It helped me to figure some stuff out about myself.
My
one of
experience-
many like clues along the way. So yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Aw. Can we get a holding hand moment?
I might be
No,
warm.
not me. You guys. You guys need to fix what happened at VidCon years ago. Come on. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the experience of being a YouTuber back then was like, oh, everybody here is gay.
Yes. So many closeted gays. VidCon especially. It was like a bang bus. Right?
All aboard.
Yes.
Like,
The thing that I always was
Oh,
confused
God.
about was that a lot of people just online would assume that I was gay. But I was like, do they think this because they know something about me I don't know? Or do they just think this because I'm British? And that's what...
it probably
Yeah.
is like how you presented then was not straight bro.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
what other way can people understand a kind, gentle
Yeah, exactly.
presentation? You know what I mean?
Charlie, whenever I started hosting the show, everyone was like, I'm so happy you have Charlie is so cool, like, as a host.
Okay, so you guys are both redheads?
Oh my God.
The other T-girl redhead.
Love.
Do we have matching moles as well?
I know, that's what I was noticing. I'm like, we also have
Oh,
moles.
Yeah.
stop. Is it giving long lost sisters?
Yeah.